So, as you're kind of referencing a little bit, I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but you were talking about needing some ZvZ early game specification, like some help on that specifically.
Yep. It's my major issue. I kind of get the idea of what to do in the middle game, but I know the early game it's about, but the long story short is getting your third base up while preventing your opponent's third base if possible. My biggest issue really is I've gotten past the overlord blockage that was my previous issue, and I'm able to scout initially, but the you know reading exactly what I can from his drone count and his main, you know, understanding when to focus on Ling Bane into Roach, when my Roach Warren should go down, um, when I should oh shit and get to the wall, um, how to expand from 2 base to 3 base if I'm pressured from an aggressive Zerg, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
This 1v1 with Damaga probably isn't the best replay, and I just wanted to show you like where my ZvZ is at, and if you
sure.
could please provide me with, kind of a middle of the road build that I can kind of copy off of for safely getting up to 3 base or dealing with an all in, because it really is a lot of all ins
Oh, it definitely is, yeah. So,
and that.
or sorry, were you gonna say something else? I'm sorry,
No,
didn't mean to
that's
cut you off.
pretty much it. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like your Damaga is like 6K fucking European Zerg. He dude's insane. Like he's been a pro gamer for ever. So yeah, this will definitely be a rough one for you. That'll even if you learned like a build, you're gonna get shit on by this guy, because the only way you can beat someone like this is if your fundamentals are just extremely solid, despite what you know. But for like just learning purposes, we can still learn from it. We can still talk about like what you're doing and seeing what you're doing right or wrong, stuff like that. Uh, but from your perspective, also just to make sure you're following along with what I'm doing, I have screen sharing going on right now in Discord, so you can see my screen's perspective. You don't have to, because if you watch it on Twitch, you'll have a delay. But if you watch it through Discord, you'll have direct, like one-to-one comparison to what I'm saying to what you're seeing.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Just making sure you're on Discord. All right, so see how your build looks and all your stuff opens. But yeah, no, scouting is very important in ZvZ. Like repeatedly in the early game. That's the only way you'll ever be able to have a chance to like handle what the fuck is going to happen. But we'll see what your build looks like. And I would say a standard build you should be going for in ZvZ. We can specify it in a little bit, but simply put, League Bane into Roach is literally the safest opener you can ever do for standard play. It's not all in. It's also not weak at all. It requires a little bit of finesse from you, but there is actually I could give you two options actually. You have, just to pause it really fast to just say this. You don't have to make a choice right now. We can talk about this in a little bit, but the two choices I would say you really have is you have League Bane into Roach, which is for like standard ZvZ play. League Bane into Roach is really solid. It's just, it branches into anything you want. It's good. It has a third, which is why it can branch into anything you want. The other one that is actually still very strong though, that does not branch into anything you want, it's kind of stuck into Roaches, is 2-base Roach timing attacks into a Roach build. So if you really like Roaches, either one of those would work. But yeah, like I said, one of them has branch, like one of them gets you a third, which allows you to branch because of the third. The other one kind of pigeonholes you into Roaches. We could discuss that more later, but those are both very solid ways to play ZvZ.
Okay.
Alright. So you got a fucking natural. Also, Damaga's a really nice guy. I love Damaga. You got your main base making some drones. Everything looks pretty normal. Got your gas. Your build's fine so far. Nothing's wrong with it. Your Overlord placement also, I do personally like it. A lot of Zergs out there will tell you to scout with your second Overlord. Don't leave it here like this, but I personally like it left there like that for a little bit. Just to see if somebody tries to like fucking sneak a drone in your base or some shit to like proxy spine you. And I know that they changed creep for people out there that are gonna be like, Vine, you can't do that anymore. Creep's changed. But sometimes you'll play somebody like fucking Golden who literally will run a drone up the ramp and run it like right there, build a hatchery, cancel it, build a fucking spine crawler. And then he'll just be out of range of creep anyways, and he'll walk a spine when it's done with Zerglings into your fucking range of your hatchery. And you're like, okay. But leaving an Overlord near the front of your hatchery for just a little bit longer, like what you did here, is great. I don't mind that you're running it out now, but the fact that you left it there for a little bit just helps you see if someone's doing some weird shenanigans where they like run around your first Overlord and try to not be revealed while proxying you in some weird way with a fucking spine crawler. Alright, and then your larva right now. This I would say is starting to go in the realm of dicey. And here's why. If you say you struggle with early game, what's happening right now is why. One reason why. So if you're really fucking, let me just say two things right now, okay? Number one, if you're really, really confident in your ability to micro drones, you can make drones and not give a shit, and it's fine because you're really confident in your drone micro. But however, if you are ever playing ZvZ and you're like, I hate 12 pools, I hate 13-12s, I hate speedling timing attacks, I hate all these early pool shits where they always have these lings attacking my hatchery before I even have units because I'm at hatchery first. If that is you at all, okay, what you should do is really not spend larva beyond 19 supply, ever. And the threshold of time that you would wait until is literally like 155 to 157, somewhere in that block of time, like that 2-second window of time. That is when you would spend your larva. And the reason why is because at 155 to 157, if you spit your larva, the very first larva at the start of the game, within the first 1 to 2 seconds of the game, which is pretty normal to do that, your last larva on your hatchery, if you stop spitting larva at 19 supply, you will have your third larva kick onto the hatchery just before 2 minutes, around 158 to 159. So you have up until that moment in time to save larva. And if your opponent is running lings at your base between 130 to 155 to 155, 157, and that like 27 second block of time, if your opponent's running lings at your base, and if you see 2 more, if you don't even see the initial 6, but you see 2 more at like 145, that's fucking early. And that tells you, oh, your opponent's early pooling you, and that's not like, oh, that's just a scout because he went hatch first. Because look, if your pool's not even done yet, right? Like, this can't be hatch first, it's pool first. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if you save your larva like that, your hatch rate, your main, will kick on 3 larvae right about the same time as your pool finishes. And your hatch rate, your natural, will, like, it might have your third larva spawn a couple seconds early, but your second hatchery, your natural hatchery, will finish around the same time as your pool, and you can make 8 lings all at once, which would help you a tremendous amount if you're worried about getting attacked by early pool players and you're not wanting to micro your drones like as heavily. So that's a huge window of opportunity for you to take advantage of if you want to, you know, have better results against early pool players. Does what I just said just make sense at all, Umnum, or do you want me to break it down more?
It absolutely. Oh, hold on. 1 second.
No worries.
It absolutely makes sense. I've heard you say that before, and I normally wait till like halfway the pool is finished to start hoarding larvae for lings. Sure. I didn't do it this time because I figured it's a very long map, and I didn't think he was going to cheese me like a best of 3. So I went for that 1 extra drone. I think I saved 1 larva just in case I would have like 2 larvae in case it is, and
You,
he's like running it around.
well, you have no larva, or you had one just spawn because you made a drone, and then you made an overlord.
Yeah, I think I delayed it a little bit, and then when I saw no second laying, I went ahead and made the overlord just to have
Uh,
extra supply. But yes,
yeah. I just want you to know for sure though that what you're doing this game is greedy. Okay? And because the only reason why I'm emphasizing this so much is because you're talking about wanting help in early game ZvZ, about how to like not get killed by all-ins and rushes and stuff. And this is going to make your life so much harder if you're not really, really, really confident with drones.
absolutely. And my biggest issue is exactly what you're talking about. And I save up the lings, and then I deal with this, especially this one particular build where enemy Zerg comes in with a couple of lings. So I think it's a pool first, and then they're going for a Baneling follow-up.
Yeah.
And so they attack, and I've got my lings. I've got double queen. And they retreat their lings, and they build banelings and come back in with like 5 banelings and a group of lings. And even with early lings and saving that up, I still lose them. I try and keep my queens at the ramp and try and build a spine crawler, but I just am unable to get that down enough to where I can defend against the Baneling ling all in that has been pretty common. I normally see that in like at least 25% of my games.
Yeah, I mean, with that one, all you gotta really do is if you can trade lings out when banelings don't exist yet, that's great. Even if it's a disadvantageous number for you, where let's say you have 8, he has 10, that's still good for you, because you're producing at a faster pace than he is. Because a 1312 literally has like 13 drones, or no, it has like a 1312 actually has you go up to 13, you build your no, it has 13 drones, yeah, because you drone back up to 14, and then you make your baneling nest. So it has 13 drones in a 1312, and you're gonna have like 20 drones defensively, or like 19 drones defensively. So you will, and you also have double queen, double hatchery, where he has only 1 queen, 1 hatchery. You'll definitely outproduce him in a situation like that. So if the more you can trade the lings, the better. And the only thing you got to avoid in a situation like that is not allowing him to go up your ramp ever, because if he goes in your main base, it's so fucked then, because he can just maneuver around you with speed. And so having queens on the ramp is really, really nice, because it also reduces surface area on the queens so that they don't get like surrounded and owned so easily. And the second thing is never letting a baneling detonate more than like 2 lings of yours at a time. Because if you run your lings over it, attack him, and he kills like 8 fucking lings with a bane, well, you've just wasted all your trade potential, and now your queens are going to get overpowered. So one way you could do that defensively would be, you could genuinely, if you're like, you know what, Vibe, I always get fucked. Every time I attack, I don't know how to make good judgment calls. Every time I chase him out, I always run into a bane, and I lose all my lings. One thing you could do is you could have your queens on the ramp on hold position, and you could have your lings like 1 ling here on hold position, 1 ling here on hold position, 1 ling there on hold position, 1 ling here on hold position. You could literally spread them out on hold position at a way where like only like 1 or maybe 2 lings at a time would get hit by a baneling, and then he would just be like having his lings run at your lings 1 by 1, and if he ever A-moved his banes, they would detonate, and if he doesn't A-move his banes, your queens are also killing his lings off of your ling 1 by 1 by 1. So you're like honestly still trading.
That's fantastic. That's exactly what I needed to know. Thank you.
Yeah, like it just makes it easier to. And then also a big thing too about that as well. Ideally, you want a spine if you know it's a baneling attack. Like you do not need a spine if it's just a 12 pool with like a hatchery and stuff like that. But you really do need a spine if it's banes. That way he can't just like attack the hatchery, and you're like, oh shit, well, I'm over here with my lings spread out, and he's just hitting the hatchery. Like, it creates a situation for him to like have to attack you if the spine caller is killing his lings. And then also keep making queens as well beyond 2. Like making queens non-stop is really fucking nice. Like maybe make 1 more queen in the main for an inject, and then let it kind of just be, because you're going to be really hard pressed for minerals at this point. And then just keep chain making queens out of your natural 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 while spinning your larva. And then once you get to your point where you have like your own defensive banelings, it's over. And you can just start making drones and queens and banes. And you don't even need a lot of banes. You can literally have like 4, and you're probably going to be fine. So this spine crawler is, I would say, a little unnecessary because there was nothing that triggered this. So everything about...
I think I cancel it. This is just a cautionary.
Still not good, I would say. So let's talk about, like, we got to think about logically why this would make sense, okay? Because this would help you so much more than just building one like this. If this is your standard, this is very bad.
That's not my standard. This is a Demaga. He's probably going to crush me. I just want a spine to be a little extra safe.
Okay,
that's
so,
something I never do.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know if you fully remember this game or not, but is there what triggered you in this game besides saying it's Demaga that made you build a spine crawler?
Nothing.
Okay.
It was only that Demaga is Demaga. I'm probably going to get screwed. I might as well try a spine.
I want to see if you saw something that's really important with your overlords. Let's see if you see it. If you see double overlord, it's not necessary to do that. Okay, so right there, right here, notice your second overlord as you cross, you see first overlord, and then you see very quickly second overlord. That automatically, if you're paying attention to that, that is a sign. Demaga is a kind of a Zerg player that does not leave his overlord in front of his natural. He just runs it across the map right away. Most people do that. I am one of the very few people that advocates for leaving your overlord at your natural for a little bit against Zerg. Most people don't like that, and I don't understand why. Like, most people, like, they want to get their overlord to the third base ASAP. So they have, like, vision of here, like, on the front of the natural, and vision of the third, which is fine. I think having vision of the third is important. But I don't think you need it that fast because nobody is taking their third base that fast unless they're gasless. And if you're just going to make a Zergling anyways, when your pool's done, you're going to figure out if they're gasless pretty fucking fast anyways. It doesn't really matter that much. And your overlords are going to go across the map anyways later on. But now Demaga, since he sent both overlords, and again, this is like every other, lots of Zergs play this way. If you actually did a strategy where you ran a drone into his base, and you put a fucking spine crawler in the edge of his base over here, like you built a hatch, canceled, put a spine down, you could actually get that off without him knowing about it. Not going to say it would beat him, but I'm just saying it would actually, the spine crawler would very likely go up because he would not see a drone going into his base. Which I think is kind of fucking scary because you could actually get behind in a situation like that. And there are some people who do that shit often. Like for me, like for instance, like playing against Golden is someone who fucking abuses that a lot. But anyways, point is, you saw two overlords. You saw that overlord first, and you saw that overlord right after. The timing of these overlords is way too fucking fast. This is not a pool first, because this means this build order was drone overlord, and you do not go drone overlord pool first. That is not how you play that shit. You go drone pool, or drone gas pool, or just straight up pool drone, and then like basically the point is, this overlord, if this was genuinely the second overlord that was pool first, this overlord would not be here. It would be like there. It would be really fucking far back right now. It would be just leaving his cliff at like 2 minutes, roughly. So that tells you this is hatch first. Because again, nobody makes pool first with overlord first. Because it makes no fuck, like that would be like saying I'm gonna go pool first at 19 supply or 18 supply or 17 supply. Like it doesn't make any fucking sense to go pool first like that. You may as well go hatch first if you're going to make more drones beyond 14. So if you're paying attention to that detail, if you ever see that detail in any future games, you know for a fact that there are no lings on the map before 2 minutes. So you do not need a spine crawler. But if you only ever see one overlord and that's it, and if you never caught wind of the second overlord here and you were like, oh shit, I've only seen one overlord. There could only be one overlord. For all I know, there could be lings right there, right now, like running across the map because he went like south and around to dodge me, and he's running to my base right now. Or he went north and around to dodge me, but there's lings maybe right there right now running towards my natural. That could be a thing. But then even if that was the case, building a spine at your natural is going to immediately get denied. So I am definitely not an even if you did want to build a spine, never build it at the natural. So there's two things wrong with that. Number one, you need to know if you do or don't need it logically. And number two, if you do need it, do not ever build it at the natural because it will just get denied. Because the circumstantial situations where you would need it, you would not be able to defend it because that would mean your opponent would pull first. The only time I would ever say building a spine at your natural would be okay would be if you've scouted your opponent looks like they went hatch first, but they're doing that build where it's like the Scarlet build everyone talks about, where it looks like a fucking hatch first, but in reality it's a gas pool and then no overlord with the gas trick into a hatchery, and then it's like a speedling all in off of like 14, 15 drones or whatever. You know what build I'm talking about?
Yeah, the 11th one. Yeah, you can tell because the hatchery is a little delayed.
Yeah, it's like 4 seconds delayed or some shit. The creep is a little bit different. But basically that would, like, if you think it's like a speedling stockpile all in off of another hatchery, off of 2 base, that's okay to build a spine at your natural because that's not going to hit you until speed's done. And that's plenty of time for the spine to finish. But if your opponent is ever going to hit you before the spine's done, it's not necessary. It's actually negative to put your spine at your natural. So understanding the difference there is very important. And you may have already have known that, but if you didn't, that's really, really, really important. And that's going to make you lose games all the time if you're trying to put your natural... if you're trying to put your spine at your natural when your opponent's going for like a 1-base opener. You always want to just uproot it, like put it there, uproot it, walk it down, root it. Never, ever, ever just build it there. Yeah, this game, like I said, he went double overlord, so it's unnecessary. Okay, so you have 100 gas. This is now a very, very important moment in ZvZ, depending on what you're going to do with your gas. The questions are you going to go for a greedy build? Are you going to go for a safe build? Are you going to go for a tech build? What kind of a build are you going to go for? And the drone count dictates what kind of a build you're going to go for, because your resources right now are going to be very skimpy, very hard to come by, and it's going to be you're going to be starving, essentially. You're going to be very, very, very pressed for minerals right now. So every drone matters. And if you leave 3 drones on gas, we'll see what you do first, and we'll talk about what you do. You're leaving 3 on gas. This is like, even if you say, oh, I wasn't gonna leave 3 on gas, I'm taking 1 off. Every second that goes by that this just continues to be on the gas is already kind of setting you in stone, because you're gonna just start getting so much fucking gas. You're gonna have less minerals, and it's just gonna be how it is. So, like, this needs to be done quickly. This needs to be done on time, and if it's delayed and if it's an accident, it's still going to set you really far behind. So if you're going to go for 3 drones on gas, your options that would make sense are you all in, which already doesn't make sense because you didn't start speed on time. So you didn't prioritize speed. So all in now is going to be bad because you're going to have delayed speed, which is going to delay the all in. And every second that's delayed for an all in makes it 1,000 times weaker. Like, a lot of people might not think, oh, Vibe, it doesn't matter. If you do a speedling all in 7 seconds late, who cares, right? Not that big of a deal. But someone like Demaga is going to be like, why is his speed so late? Question mark. But it's only 7 seconds, but in his mind, it feels like 2 minutes. Because he's like, this is really delayed. And this is way easier to defend now because I have more time now to get my next round of units out. I have more time to prepare for it. I have more time to scout it before it's going to happen. I have more time to react. I have more time to deal with everything that's going to happen. And again, that's why Demaga, someone like him who's like a fucking 6K EU Zerg player, is going to take advantage of something like that massively. So this makes sense to all in with, but if you're not even getting the speed on time, now it doesn't make sense to all in. So it's kind of defeating the purpose of itself to have the drones on gas like this. Another thing you can do with drones on gas like this is hard tech. Just literally go for a hard tech build. And that would be like, rushing a layer after a queen is out. Which you still could do, but that could be like, let's say like a muta build or something. And if you're not going to do either one of those, I don't really think it makes sense to leave 3 on the gas. It does not, because all this does now is it delays your 3rd base. And because you don't need this for early game Baneling defense. And if you ever take a 3rd base and you don't have Banes, The only way that ever will work is if you overmake lings and roaches or just mass lings. You have to like literally go all in with it. Because if your opponent has Banes and Lings and he's playing cost efficient, he's like, you know, he spent 10 larvae on Ling Bane and you spend 10 larvae on pure Ling. It is so fucking hard to stop that. You have to have insane micro to make that work for the pure Ling guy. If you're doing equal larva investment with no fucking Banes. Whereas if your opponent is going for like, let's say 10 larvae of Ling Bane, just like a standard pressure, if you go for like 20 larvae of mass Ling or some combination of Ling Roach, you can overpower that very realistically, as long as you don't just run into a Baneling with all your Lings. And then you can actually put him on the back foot if he's like, you know, now he'll have to start making Lings himself or whatever, and you could maybe deny the third and it would help you take a third that way. The point I'm trying to make here is you have to overmake units if you skip Banes if you take a third. So what I'm trying to say, simply put, Baneling Nest is kind of required to take a third base if you want consistent, good early game. You can't skip it unless you do mass flooding Ling Roach. It's the only way you can really skip it, the Bane Nest, and not fucking die every game. Because you'll die otherwise. So again, I know I talked a lot right there. How you feeling? Does everything I'm saying compute?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm snacking on my chips and listening.
Okay, no worries. I'm just making sure I'm not going too fast or anything. Okay, so he's taking a third base. This looks pretty standard. So you can already tell his build is going to be some kind of a Speedling opener. Most likely, probably going to be Baneling Zergling because it's like automatically. I would say this, okay? If we're playing off of logic, okay, this is how my brain works in ZvZ. The second I saw this right here, and someone like Demaga, I want you to know as well, logic, percentage-wise, there's like a chance that logic applies, okay? Where you're like, okay, I know what logic is, and there is a 99% chance that logic will apply here because this is Demaga and he's very good and he also is going to probably use logic. But now if you're fucking Gold League or something like that and you're trying to apply logic to a Gold League player, there is like a 40% chance that it will apply to a Gold League player because they probably don't know what the fuck they're doing. So they're going to do random shit. And at that point, all you got to do is like try to play more clean than them and play more efficient. So in this particular situation, if you see this right here, if you go, all right, I see a hatchery, I see drones being made, 2 Lings just popped out, and a drone has now crossed to a third base. If you notice this, if this is something you actually are aware of and you saw that happening, this now means everything I just said. Demaga is going to do one of 3 things. He's either going to go for a lot of Lings right now to cover the map and keep map control so his third doesn't die. He's either that, or he's going to go for some combination of a lot of Lings and Roaches and take map control so again his third doesn't die right now. Those are the aggressive, really aggressive options. Or he's going to play standard and he's going to get a Baneling Nest and he's going to have either a lot of Ling Bane or some Ling Bane. And if we're talking about Demaga, I would say the odds are high that he's probably going to just make some Ling Bane and not go all in because he's probably confident as fuck in a macro game. So he's like, yeah, I'll just make some Ling Bane, control the map, because map control is important now that we're taking a third base. We can't just let this die. It's important to keep it alive. So high chance that he makes some Ling Bane. But again, if you take a third base, map control becomes mandatory, and you have no choice but to make a lot of units if you skip a Baneling Nest. But if we're talking about a good player who's confident in their micro, he's probably going to make a Baneling Nest. That way he has the ability to stop you from killing him if you make twice as much larva as he does into Zerglings. Suddenly now Banelings can buy him the time to make up the difference to not die. But if you have 50 fucking Lings and he has 24 Lings, he'll just die if he has no Banes. Unless he like makes a wall, but then if he makes a wall, his third dies. So obviously odds are high he's going to make a Bane Nest. So what I'm trying to tell you is you can already tell what his build's going to be like based off the fact that you just saw his drone going right there. Like, it's very, 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 very high chances that you know what you're expecting. Yeah, that's not guaranteed like the one build that you know he's going to do, but there are some builds he has a possibility of going into, and that is limited now. Like, he's not going to fucking go for a lurker rush. He's not going to go for quick fucking, like, super ultra fast mutas. He's not going to go for some infestor build. He's not going to do a Nidus all in. Like, he's not doing other builds that could be a thing. He's definitely going to go for quote unquote map control because he's taking a third. So scouting him is important, like you are, and you're still on a spine and you let it finish. This automatically, I'm not going to lie, I already feel like you've lost the game. I'm dead serious. Because you just missed out on a spine color's build time, which is 36 seconds of minerals for that drone. First off, that drone is not mining minerals for 36 seconds. Secondly, which is going to make it harder to spin your larva. Secondly, your opponent is going for a build that is going to outpace you because there is a third base involved. So you're turtling up on less economy. The only option you have to make this make any form of sense at all is basically lurker turtle. You need to do something cost efficient that is going to make it to where if he makes a lot of shit and he has more money to throw a lot of shit at you, you have to cost efficiently absorb that and progress forward through the game in a way that's not bad, because although he's mining more than you, you're taking better engagements. And you can't do that if you're making the same exact units as he is, but he just has more. Like, for instance, 30 roaches always beat 17 roaches. That's just a fact. Like, there's no way that 17 roaches suddenly start beating 30 roaches, because it's the same fucking unit, but there's a lot more on one side than the other. However, 30 roaches could actually get fucked over by 5 lurkers. So what you've done here to yourself by making this spine like this and not making a third base and also not teching, you're keeping yourself in a situation that is low tech. Well, you haven't actually done the tech yet or not, but you're putting yourself in a situation where you have no chance to have a mid game. And if this was Damaga and you're like worried that like you're like, okay, I don't know what to do to him because I don't want to get myself in a micro battle of Ling Bane versus Ling Bane. I'm gonna always lose that to you know, blah blah blah. I would say your best bet would be the other build we talked about at the very beginning of this coaching lesson, which was 2 base roach timing attack, take map control, and then go into a third base with that. That would probably be your best bet in ZvZ because it would give you, it would take away the ability or the requirement of having to go Ling Bane early and getting through that phase of the game. Like right now, you should absolutely be scouting his base. Like not this, you should be scouting this. Because this will tell you, larva and drone count will tell you, is he going to go, like, because if you remember, I said there, we gave options. There were 4 builds I said he could do. I said he could go for mass Ling. I said he could go for mass Ling / roach, which means maybe the mass Ling has 20 larvae of zerglings, or a mass Ling / roach has 12 larvae of zerglings and 8 larvae of roaches. Overall, same larva count, which is 20, but some of them are just roaches now. Mass Ling Bane, like 20 larvae of Ling and Bane. Or, finally, the last one, which is probably what he's doing. The fuck was, what did I call it before? It's just Ling Bane, but it's like, it's fucking less. It's just, we'll just call it safe Ling Bane. I can't remember what the word I used for a second ago, but yeah. It's like, instead of 20 larvae, it's 10 larvae. Or 8 larvae. It's like he's going to make more drones and he's just going to be safe about it. That's all it is. I would say out of those 4 builds that are, in every one of these builds, they all do the same thing. They all go for map control. And out of all of those builds, he's most likely going to pick safe Ling Bane. He's going to pick less, he's going to go Ling Bane, but he's going to make less of them most likely because he is a really good player and he's really confident if he has more drones. Every good player is like this. With the exception of like no regret. That guy is like the fucking one exception. That dude just loves aggression. But almost everybody that's really confident in their overall in the game is going to always feel more confident the more drones they have, and they feel confident they can make early game ZvZ work with Ling Bane and scouting. So if you scout his base right now and you look at his drone count, that's going to tell you if it's going to be any one of these mass builds, or if there's drones there, it automatically goes to that. And if you see at the front here, you see a Bane nest. So you automatically can rule out the roaches by default. Pretty standard to put the mailing nest in the front because he wants to have a pseudo wall here that he can use with the queen. So in case you all in him, he can just put a queen in the doorway. Suddenly his main and his natural are protected because there's like a roach ward, an evo chamber, and a baning nest here that get added on later to the bane nest that's already there. The queen blocks the door, and now all he has to worry about is this little area here, which is Ling Bane, which makes it way fucking easier to defend for him. So you're running into his base, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drones. You right now have a similar number at the moment. You both have the similar number, but the difference is he has a mailing nest started just now, and you have a spine crawler that is finished, which is like a different kind of expense. Another thing that's different between you guys' builds right now is his larva is popping off the hatcheries right now. Your larva is 7 seconds delayed. So if we were to go back and look at that, it's probably because your queens didn't get made or something. Like, well, remember, we're at 307. Let's go back and take a look as to why the fuck that's even happening. We'll go back to 307 in just a second. But that's a big deal. So like his pool right now was at 32 seconds in completion. Your pool is at 32 seconds in completion. You guys have the exact same pool time. So your queens were delayed for no reason. So his pool's done. He makes queens right away. Both queens are started. Your pool's done. You make spine before queens. And then you start queens. And you start both of them on one hatchery on accident. And then you cancel, and you go back, and you start your second queen. So this queen's actually about 2 seconds behind. It's 0.4 seconds in production. This queen's 3 seconds in production. So you're like 2.5 seconds behind on one of your queens. And then both of them are like 7 seconds behind overall of his queens. Or one of them's 4 seconds behind, one of them's 7 seconds behind. So, not great. Obviously, the real goal there, the second the pool's done, is immediately making those queens because larva always takes priority over everything else. And this spine color, again, like we talked about, didn't make sense because there's an overlord there already. Okay, we're going to fast forward, go back to 307. And slow it down. So now you see his drone count. All your lings are dying. You killed one drone. You lost 4 lings for that. And you got to his main, and you saw... This is a decent scout in the main base. We'll go back and look at it one more time really fast. Because this drone scout in the main... Or, the ling scout in the main saw, if you paid attention, how much larvae are sitting there. So, I want you to know, there is a sign, okay? There is a sign. 2 things. Number 1. How many drones are on gas? He has 2 drones on gas. So this automatically means it's less likely to all in, but he has 2 drones on gas, which is standard. Okay. 2 drones on gas is very standard, but that could, like, the reason why that's standard is because you still always want to make some Ling Bane, and that could either be for defensive or aggressive purposes. Okay. But if there were 3 drones on gas, you can almost guarantee he's going to all in the fuck out of you. Because if someone, like, if you remember what I said earlier, and again, Demaga absolutely applies to logic. This guy is very good at this game, so anything that's logical is going to be something that's going to apply to him. If he had 3 drones on gas, there are 2 fucking ways that does not suck dick. 1, you all in. 2, you tech really fast. And you did not see a layer. And if you did see a 3rd drone here, and you did not see a layer, you could almost guarantee he's going to go mass Ling Bane. It's like 99% chance that's going to happen. Okay, but he only had 2 drones, so that's not a factor anymore for that particular type of scout. But that is something to think about. That is a relevant thing to understand. The other thing is, if we look here for a second, you can see a larva. I don't know if you see that, but there are health bars on the hatchery. There is a larva sitting there. Okay. There's a larva literally sitting on the fucking hatchery. And an eject is popping off. And then as you run Eepert into his base further, there are 2 fucking larvae sitting on the hatchery. Now, I want you to understand, a player who is good, the Damaga is very good, is never, ever, ever going to fucking let larvae sit there and then make drones. Now, again, the lower league you go, the lower the MMR drops, this could break this rule more and more and more. But generally speaking, someone who is going to try to make drones is going to go 5SD, 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 and they're going to be just cranking drones out the second every larva exists because they're trying to maximize their economy. So if you see larvae chilling on the hatcheries, that is fucking fishy, that is suspicious, and that is not... You can't just look at that and go, oh, he's clearly going to drone right now. Because he's got larvae chilling there. So this could totally be he maybe wants to kill your fucking lings and then make a bunch of zerglings. Like maybe he wants you to think, oh, maybe I could make drones. And he totally could. But he's fucking chilling with larvae right there. And again, that is an indicator, okay? That's not a guarantee. I can't tell you it's a guarantee. This is odds. But it is absolutely an indicator that he's going to possibly make zerglings. Because, again, if you're going to make fucking drones, you're going to spin your larva as fast as physically possible. You're not going to just constantly have hiccups in your build and wait and wait and wait. Wait. You're going to spin that shit ASAP. Now, this does not necessarily have to mean it would. If it is lings, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all in. Because this is not going to be like 50 fucking lings right now. This is the first inject that popped off his hatchery that he could spin. And it could literally be still what I said earlier, safe ling main. This could be a little bit of ling main that he makes right now that gives him map control. And then he can drone behind it. Again, this is very standard to do this. Some people play really greedy though and spin their larva really fast and get like, they try to make like drones off of the initial 2 to 4 lings that scout. And they go up to like fucking 40 drones off of that. Some people play more standard and get safe ling main. But if you see someone having larvae sitting on their hatcheries like that, it is an indicator that there is a higher chance of zergling. That's all I will say. And again, only 3 larvae pops off of an eject, and there was more larvae than that on both hatcheries chilling both times you saw that. Okay, so at this point in time now, I would say this is, like I was saying earlier when I said you kind of already lost the game. This is really scary for you because all Damaga has to do now to you to get a massive lead is run over here, kill your hatchery, and run away. He doesn't even need to, like he could run into your base. He doesn't even need to though, because the fact that he's making you build wall here already, like you need a main nest. It is late though, which sucks for you. It's very late. Like look at his main nest. It's already done. And he's very likely going to be making mains in like a second here. Your main nest is just getting started. You got 2 seconds left to wait on that shit. That's very scary. So your build is definitely behind for the simple purpose of map control third base. So you essentially, you do not have map control. And now, as a result of this, your third base is going to die. Because this Spinecrawler does not protect that. And also, this Spinecrawler does not protect your drones, and it does not protect these drones if he were to run past right there. So this is basically the point I'm trying to make here is your queens, very important. Your bailing nest, very important. Your speed on your zerglings, very important. And your drone that you take off of gas when you have 100, very important. You're literally doing the same exact build he's doing, except you're doing it slower and you added a spine. Otherwise, you guys are doing the exact same build as each other right now. But this is going to give him all the advantages in the world because he can now kill your third and you can't stop it because you are behind. And as soon as that third dies, you are so fucked. Like you're now playing a game of the exact same build, but you're doing it at 2/3 effectiveness. So now he gets to your third base. It's a very high chance he's morphing banelings right there. This is something that every really good player will do. Like, he doesn't just morph banes in your fucking face so you can deny it. He'll morph them all the way in as he's engaging you. So there's a very high chance he'll morph banes right here. He may or may not do it, but yeah. Or he just has enough lings to... Oh, he morphed... Sorry. He morphed them over. He literally ran 2 lings over and morphed banes on the other side. That's totally fine as well. But he morphed banes out of vision, and then he fucking runs them in, is the point I'm trying to make. And you tried to defend that. What just happened there for Damaga is he just went, okay, I'm attacking. And right here, Damaga scouted you with a Zergling and scouted your numbers. And he also saw your spine crawler. Or no, he didn't see your spine, but he saw your numbers at least. He's like, how many lings do you have? And he's like, okay, there's not. I have way more lings than you do right now in this fight. I will take this fight. And this is like, it looks like 8 lings versus like 24 or so, I would say. Like, or maybe 10 to 24. Like, you're in the 10, he's the 24. He absolutely has more lings than you. So you should have definitely ran back towards your spine a little bit. And then if he runs back to the hatchery, you run back to him again. And you play this fucking cat and mouse game where you keep distracting him until you ideally you have banes or more lings yourself. Because if you just take the fight, you're just dead. You have to like distract the fuck out of him, make him waste time running back and forth. And if he just ignores your lings, you kill him off the hatchery. That is how you'd have to play this because you're behind. And for him, all he has to do is not overcommit to a stupid fight and like run it into a baneling or something if you had any, or not run his lings into an overwhelming amount of numbers. He basically just wants to keep you at bay and kill your third. If he kills your third, the game is almost already over. Like, it's so fucking hard to come back from a dead third. The only way you come back from that, realistically, is if you do the exact same thing now to him, where you out-micro him and you attack his third and he gets fucked. It's about the only way that works. Otherwise, if you just let his third stay up while he kills yours for the rest of the game, you're probably just already dead. So, you took a fight. You got overwhelmed like crazy. All your lings are dying. And then his banelings are here now. And now he can kill a queen. You get killed by a bane. Another queen, or he just runs into the bane now. This game now, this is a, like, see what I'm saying? How the spine doesn't do any shit. He just runs by. He could either kill your third and run back, which is the safer play, which gets him ahead. Or because he just killed all your lings, and he also even killed a queen. And your spine, you have a spine, which is a investment. This is not free. This is expensive. And it means you're going to have less shit now because of that. Because the spine exists. So if he feels confident where he goes, cool, I have a bane still active. And I have my lings here. I'm just going to run into the bane like he did. This is obviously a devastating move he could do. Where if he kills a lot of your drones right now, the game is literally over. That was nice of you to pick off the baneling with that one Zergling. But now you're losing a couple drones and you're losing your mining time. And all of this is now you're now on what's called crisis management. You're now trying to salvage a bad situation. But you're in the bad situation because you didn't respect the rules of what taking a third base entails, which is map control. You didn't do any of these builds. You basically did the same build he did, which is safe Ling Bane. But you did it in a way where you said... Like add the word slow in front of it, where it's like slow safe Ling Bane plus spine crawler. So you did the same build he did, but you just had less and it was slower. That's all it was. So he took advantage of time on you and he overpowered you. Because you guys literally have built the same amount of shit, really. Like, look at the drones. Neither of you stopped making drones. He's making drones behind this as well. Like, he's not all-inning you right now. He's literally poking you with a little bit of a... Like, this is, again, the safe amount of units. All it is, again, is giving him map control. And if you would have had a lot of shit, if he would have poked your base and he would have scouted you, and instead of him overpowering you, let's say you didn't make any fucking drones at your natural at all, and you had twice the amount of lings he had here. So let's say he has got like 20, and you have fucking 40, and you just surge out of your base with speed, and you have a fucking massive swarm of Zerglings. What he would have done is he would have made banelings back in his base defensively. And he would have probably tried to distract you a little bit by maybe taking some lings and running around and trying to get in your base, make you turn around ideally, whatever, to buy time to make banelings for himself. Because again, he played safe. That's all it was. Another way to say this is his execution of safe Ling Bane was like, you know, A+. He did it very good because he's a good player. And your execution of safe Ling Bane was like maybe a fucking B- or like a C. Because you just did it slow. Your queens were slow. Your Baneling Nest was super fucking slow. You made a spine you didn't need. And then now you're paying the price for all of that. And then he runs out of your base. He goes back home now. Because he doesn't want to throw all of his units away. He's playing safe. He's playing, you know, conservative. He knows he has a drone lead right now because he just fucked over. Like, he killed a lot of your shit, which means you don't have to rebuild to be safe. He made you evacuate your whole mineral line. He killed a queen. He killed some of your drones as well. He knows for a fact he's ahead. And now he's going to continue poking you while having a superior drone count. Which, again, is going under the rule of map control. And behind this, he's going to rotate into an Evo Chamber, get +1 range weapons, and then add a Roach Warren here pretty soon as well. This drone probably is about to make a Roach Warren. Because he's going to transition map control Ling Bane into a Roach timing attack. And there it is. He is playing the epitome of standard. This is as standard as you can be. And his pacing is just better than yours because he's a really good fucking player. So you didn't do anything necessarily... Like, you did obviously do things wrong here. But when you play against really good players, they're going to make you do things wrong, even though you know it. You know in your mind, you're like, oh, fuck, okay. I could have easily not fucked those things up. But a good player will make you fuck these things up because they're going to make you play worse because they're going to outpace you. So now he pokes you, and now you have another problem you have to deal with while he is going to probably make some drones behind this. Like right there, that was awful for you. He just lost 2 banelings to kill like 4 of yours, and he also killed probably like 4 of your lings. That was an amazing trade for his banelings. And now all that does is it now allows him to continue applying pressure to your side of the map, which means you have to make units. He could literally drone or make units. He could try to close out the game right now if he wanted to make more units, or he could drone. He has like, every choice in the world is up to whatever the fuck he wants to do. And he makes 12 fucking drones. And he knows for a fact there is nothing you can do about that because you're playing catch up now to what he just did. You have to make more units to catch back up here because you're taking really bad fights. You're losing really inefficiently. So again, if you do not like the Ling Bane phase of the game, Damaga is an exception. This guy is a fucking extremely good player. But you might have a better Ling Bane game against people of your own MMR level, which is around like Masters, right? But if you really don't like Ling Bane at all, just not at all, you could definitely play the Roach style. 2 base Roaches into a timing attack with a 3rd behind it. And that would completely circumvent this entire early game of Ling Bane. Right there, that was an equal trade. And at this point, equal trades are even bad for you because he has almost twice your drone count. So you actually need to be cost efficient now to even have a chance. And equal trades are not cost efficient because he's outmining you. Like right here, you're losing the hatchery. You're making another spine. That's not going to do shit. Even if it finished and it was up the whole time, it still wouldn't do shit. It's going to die. Spine colors at this point are absolutely useless. They're not going to save the... like, for the purpose of why you're making them, which is to try to save the 3rd, it will never accomplish that. Because it just isn't going to kill shit before your hatchery dies. Your hatchery is still super exposed. And then, yeah, now that your hatchery's dead, you're now extremely fucked. But all the things that have happened so far in this game have culminated into you, falling further and further behind. So again, now you're going to go for Evo Chamber Roach Warren style. And this is never going to work because you're trying to go for 2 base 27 drone Roaches versus 3 base 46 drone Roaches at the moment. And he's probably not even done droning yet. He is actually making a lot of lings right now. He's probably just trying to win the game at this point, trying to close it out. Because maybe he feels like he's far ahead enough to just do that, which is obviously a choice he could make. But even if he was going to play roaches, genuinely, you're just so far behind right now that playing the same build is you're basically signing your death warrant here, because this will never work. Like, the only way you have a chance is if, like, you try to do something cost efficient, like, for instance, if you tried to go for, like, mutas, or if you tried to go for lurkers. But even, like, it's not going to work because you're so far behind and he's a really good player. You're dead. You're just dead. Just, yeah. Simply put, like, there's no way out of this where you win at this point. You're so fucking far behind. So obviously at this point in time, we can still talk about this, which I will. I'll finish it off. But all of this is kind of irrelevant info because getting to this point is automatically a bad situation. It's just that when you are in a situation where you're behind like this, the only way out of it is to play cost efficient, because you're never going to... Your opponent's not just going to let you suddenly just play the game normally again. He's going to keep fucking you over like this. And that's a dead hatchery for real. That's even further behind now. And now the spine color is going to die. All your lings are going to die. That drone is going to die. And then once again, your more shit's dead. Lots of damage you're taking right here. Your queen should 100% be on the inside rather than the outside. If you do the creep tumor trick where it walks over the wall, that's fine. That'd be fine. But I mean, again, you really don't have a lot of options here. At this point, he could literally ram banelings in your wall and kill you if he wanted to. But like, if your queen dies right now, this is again a waste, because that's extra DPS you could have had behind your wall that could have helped. And if it just dies, so if you don't know about it, you don't know about this. If you if your queen's stuck to the wall like this, and lings are...
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, the tumor in front of the queen. And
sure.
Blocks.
Okay. Yeah, you have no... Yeah, there we go. There's the layer. But it's 7-minute layer. So this attack just kills you at this point now. But everything we talked about, anything I touched on, or maybe I didn't touch on that you wanted me to, or anything that makes sense, anything you want me to reassess really fast? I don't know.
No. This was good. Thank you. Well, some of this was panic of just playing a really good player.
Oh, of course it was, man. And that's why I'm saying, like, trust me, I know that. And that's why I've reiterated that like 10 times throughout this, talking about it. Like, you're not beating Damaga. Like, dude's a fucking been a pro gamer as long as I have. And he's actually better than me right now because he's still an active pro gamer. So then, yep, there's the attack. Everything dies. But do you have any questions about anything? We just like any questions at all about anything for?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, I'll give you now an option here. What would you prefer? Would you like me to give you an example of a replay? And if yes, would you prefer the roach build I was talking about, the 2 base roach into a third, or would you prefer? Like, I'm not gonna lie, Damaga, what he did there was a good example of Lingbane into, again, safe. Like, those 4 examples I gave you where it's like Mass Ling Roach, Mass Ling Bane, or Safe Ling Bane. All of those make sense for taking a third. And he literally just did a Safe Ling Bane into an all-in attack because you were taking so much damage that he just decided to end the game. I want you to know that his build, just saying this, I hope it makes sense, his build is not predetermined to do the roach attack he just did. He only did that because he was doing a lot of damage to you, and he decided to just end the game rather than make it draw it out longer. But his build was absolutely geared towards setting up drones at a third, going up to like 60 plus drones, and going into a full-on roach game. Like max supply shit. So again, just to make it not confusing, would you like a roach example? Because I think Damaga gave you a good Ling Bane example. Or I can give you another example of any one of those other builds that I was offering, that I was saying he could have done, which is Mass Ling Roach, or Massling Bane.
I would love your Roach example because that sounds like something I could definitely practice.
Okay. So I will do that really fast. And now I'll give you one more option on it as well, which is it's very valid. And it would be, do you want it to be what's the fucking map you just played on? I want to make that. Sorry, 1 second. What map did we just watch?
The Graveson.
Okay, thank you. I was like, what the fuck? Why was my brain not working right now? Okay, so last thing I'll say is there's a couple ways you can do this Roach build. One is you can fucking do it in a way that's like really, really, really early attack, really aggressive. Another way is you can, which is like, it's less drones, it's more stress on your attack, but it's also more stress on your opponent to defend that because it's faster. Or you can do a version which is more standard. You take a third and your opponent will have more time to react, but you'll have a higher economy to bounce into a third with. Basically, they're both good.
For the greedy / safe.
Okay, sure.
Build instead of the aggressive build.
Sure, yeah, they're both good. The way if you ever want to try yourself to be like, okay, I want to try it myself and like alter it and see if I can do it. Simply put, you just make less drones and you just tech faster, and you don't fucking fully saturate. You literally saturate your natural mineral line to maybe like 8 fucking drones, and you're making roaches now, and you just run across the map with roaches and go attack once you have roach speed. But this one though, you are going to fully saturate. So. Okay, I made like a fucking cheater AI, whatever, who cares? Hope it doesn't rush me, but whatever. Because it'll alter it a little bit. I want to give you a nice example, because we talked about rush defense a little bit. We'll see. Okay, so we got drones being saturated everywhere. And we'll take our natural. Around 180 minerals, so we get there about 300. Build the spawning pool. And we'll take a gas after because we're skipping speed. We're not going speed here. $20 gas. And now stop making drones for a second at 19 if you want to do that. If you're really confident in your drone micro, you can still make more, but we can stop for right now at 19. And let's just say at 155 to 157, we don't see any lings. We can make drones again. And we're fine. Double queen started right away. Now my gas should hit around 100 when my first queen's done, which allows us to go for an immediate immediate layer, which is really important for this build. You don't want to fucking waste time. Wasting time is always bad. That's what we were talking about a lot about last game, right? That's why Demaga killed you so easily. So you really need to not waste time no matter what build you're doing. And this one is just the same as, this is a different time, a different type of time you need to not waste, but it's still all the same thing, don't waste time. So now you can see my gas just hits 100, queen's about to spawn. A layer takes longer to build than a roach warren, so we're going to make layer first. We're going to make sure we spend all of our money on that first, and then once we have more money extra, like we do now, we're totally fine. We get a third queen, just to be a little safe. go ahead and take our roach square now. And we can also take an Evo chamber. Good. Larva usage here. Now let's go ahead and spin our drones and then take double gas at the natural. So larva first, and now double drone at the natural. Or double gas at the natural. Could make a creep tumor. That's fine. That's a lot of roaches. Do not get weapons yet on the Evo chamber. It's more for walling purposes. Get speed first, because that's why we made the roach one a little after the layer. Speed started first. That's more important for this time. You're not waiting for +1. You're just going to go. Okay, and now get +1. Weapons. And now we make a bunch of fucking roaches. We have 17 drones as well. They're just in production, so 17 drones because we want 16 out of 16, and we're going to take number 17 and build a third base with it. And it's going to be very soon. And we're trying not to supply block as well. And once roach speed's done, that's our timing attack. And if your opponent was being aggressive, all you got to do is use your third queen, put it in the wall, put an Evo chamber there. If your opponent's not being aggressive, you don't need to build a third Evo because it slows you down if you build it just because. Okay, so this next inject is going to be the last round of roaches we're going to make before speed's done. So inject's popping off. Make all those roaches. And now take a drone, send it towards the third, wherever the hell you want to take it. And now we can start getting ready to move out with our roaches here. And we have a bunch of roaches that are going to reinforce behind this. And we take our third base. Now from this point on in this game right now, I'm going to pause it. At this point, this is now when it branches to a judgment call. You either make drones behind this and play conservative with your roaches, or you make more roaches behind this and you fucking play really aggressive. If you want to play really aggressive with this, that's totally fine. Just look for good areas to attack. If your opponent has a third base, like I would, so let me say it like this. It might make more sense to like help you understand why it would be good or why it would not be good to do that. It would make more sense, I would say, to make an overseer and drones if your opponent was on 2 bases right now. And still put them with your roaches you have right now, but you always have the means to retreat and back up because you have speed. So nothing is really going to fuck you over. Even if it was like lings, you could just tuck your roaches into a fucking bottleneck like mineral line or something, or kite back, and you'd be able to kill a lot of lings. And then if it was like he's all-in you with lings, you could just make more roaches and defend yourself and defend your third. And put a wall up at your natural with a queen so you can like guard your natural too. So basically, if it's 2 base, I would say try to make drones, scout with overseer, figure out what the fuck tech he's going for, and then make a choice off of what you want to add on to your build here. It could be hydras, it could be more roaches, it could be you know, whatever you want. Ravagers. If your opponent, though, has a third base and has any drones at the third base, that would be a great time to pile on roaches and go kill the fucking third base. And once you kill the third base, transition back to, like we just said a second ago, if you're against 2 base, go back to drones yourself and do exactly what Damaga did to you, which is map control, drone behind it. Those things are very important in ZvZ. If you don't do them, you're playing risky. And if you don't take map control and you just drone for droning, that's risky as fuck and they could all die. Just like your third did last game where you couldn't defend it properly. And if you have map control, that prevents that from happening. That prevents, you know, shit from dying. It makes it way easier for your shit to stay alive. And if you don't drone behind your map control, a lot of times what will happen is you might run yourself into a wall where you run out of gas and your opponent just starts outproducing you because they actually have more drones than you because you're giving them defender's advantage for too long. And they might die, they might not die, but if there's no actual fucking reason why they're going to die, it might not be the best choice. So as an example to justify this from your last game, Damaga did not all-in you right off the bat. He literally took this was Damaga's thought process, okay? Damaga 101. I make safe Ling Bane. I attack opponent's base. I kill units plus third. Or no, he didn't kill your third, but he killed your units. And then he goes, I drone behind this because I now feel safe. I now make more units off higher drone count. I attack again. I kill units again. And now he actually kills your third this time. I drone behind this a little bit. I decide to all in. That was literally Damanga's mindset last game. He poked you, did damage, controlled you, made drones. He poked you again, did damage, made a little bit of drones, but he did enough damage to go, you know what? I'm going to just fucking all in now. So the point is, he had an advantage that he decided to all in with. He didn't just fucking all in to all in. So in this situation, like I'm talking about for you right now, if you're in this situation yourself, where right at this point in the build, right now, in your own game, where nothing's happened yet, if you just decide to all in, just because, just know that it's not always going to work. It needs to have some kind of a logical process behind it, which is you need to understand that your opponent cannot keep up with your all in for it to work. So what I'm trying to tell you is it only makes sense to all in right now if your opponent has gone drone crazy. Like, for instance, they had a third base and they have a lot of fucking drones at it. And you're like, okay, you have like 55 drones and I have like 40. I could totally fuck you over right now. Because I have 15 extra larvae of myself. Like you won't really have 15 larvae exactly because he has a third and you don't. But you have more larvae invested into roaches, and it's going to be hard for him to deal with that right now, especially if he took a third base in drones and he has a later layer than you do, and you have speed. Because if speed roaches are microed correctly, they are fucking really strong. They're good against other roaches, and they're good against zerglings. They're good against zerglings because you can kite and not get surrounded and kill lots of lings all day. They're good against roaches because you can overwhelm them before they group up. So you could literally run like 8 roaches around the map behind his fucking base and just run into his production lines. And like, he can't chase you properly because he's slower. And you just start having like 8 roaches killing reinforcements one by one by one by one. Maybe you kill a bunch of drones in his main. Maybe then you use the rest of your roaches and jump all over his fucking third base. Like, you could do creative things with your roaches to run past him. He can't chase you properly. And you start getting on top of like spawn camping his units and killing drones. Like, there are things you could do with roaches with speed when your opponent does not have speed to fuck them over really bad. Or if you just have a straight up bigger number of roaches than he does when you take the first fight, you have a better concave. He can't run away from that. If he tries, you run at him as well, and you just stutter step forward and you kill tons of fucking roaches because he can't outrun you. And you just win the fight and snowball his ass into death. So that's what I'm saying. Making a lot of roaches does make sense if you see your opponent went for crazy fucking economy, but it might not make the most sense if your opponent's on 2 bases. So instead, it might make more sense to scout what he's doing exactly, make some roaches for some type of map control, and make a little bit of drones behind it, figure out what the fuck's going on in his base, and assess the situation. Make as many units as you think you need, because if you ever get to a point where now you have 3 base drones, and he's on 2 base all in, and you can actually outproduce him over time, now you're going to win the game as well. If he attacks you instead, where he's all-in you now. You just need to figure it out. That's why I said if it's a 2-base player, you probably want to make an overseer. Figure that out. Because if it's like, let's say it's mutas, it'd be a great idea for you to either rush roaches into his base now and fuck him up really bad. If you could get in there before the mutas are out. Or let him cross the map into your base, and once he's in your base, hide your roaches like somewhere on the map where he doesn't know where they are. And as soon as he's in your base, run at his base. So he has to turn around and go back and defend his base, and suddenly he doesn't have his defense there while his drones are dying. That'd be a great way. Or get burrow move and do the same thing. Like, stuff like that would be a great way to play in that scenario. And if you saw, oh, he's going mutas, you could just make a lot of drones and make spores and queens, and your roaches can't defend mutas anyways, but now suddenly your spore queen, when he gets to your base, are fine. Do these things make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I was wondering, should I continue the +1 to immediate +2 or dump everything into
Yeah,
roaches?
you always do that. Yeah, always get +2. So if you could make drones, I would say maybe even add in a second evo chamber and get +2 weapons with +1 carapace. But
That
if
was my
you're
next question.
kind of starving and you're not making drones and you're just making a lot of roaches instead, just get +2 weapons. To off a single evo, and then you can get +1 carapace after +2 weapons is done.
And when should I add Ravagers? Because it seems like, going for roaches and then I push into Ravagers and I kill my opponent before they can invest in Lurker.
You should make Ravagers when your opponent has a concave that's gonna concave against you. That's when Ravagers are great. But if your opponent, if like you're not really worried about a concave on concave scenario, like do not make Ravagers with your first attack. Do not do that. Like do not ever make Ravagers with your first push because you're never gonna have enough gas to do that. Your gas is gonna be like barely keeping afloat while making mass roaches like this. So like Ravagers would be good later on when it becomes large amounts of roaches because it's large concave versus large concave. That's when Ravagers excel. The higher the roach count, the better Ravagers are.
Okay. And if my opponent gets his Lurkers up and starts to defend, should I try and
just don't let him take a third base? Do not let it. Like I'm gonna tell you right now, it is impossible. If you allow, like, I have to say this because it's really relevant. Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
No, fine.
If your opponent takes a third base and somehow gets Lurkers up against you, you need to reassess your time management because that is impossible. The only way that works is if you just play fucking slow. So, but it would work if he's going 2-base Lurker. If your opponent goes 2-base Lurker, your whole goal should be don't let him have a third base. That's it. And then if you don't let him have a third base, you have options there to transition into. But just don't sit on roaches all game. You could go for a lot of things, though. One thing that I think is actually super fucking strong as fuck is... I don't know if you've ever seen me do it, but I love fucking Broodlords. I love Proxy Spore, Broodlord, Viper shit. I'm not saying you have to do that exactly, but you could genuinely probably just make fucking like 15 Broodlords off of a good economy and never let him have a third base with your Roach Ravager. Make it really hard every time he tries to take a third. Corrosive Bile the third, auto attack it down. If he tries to up burrow, re-burrow a Lurker forward to guard it further, Corrosive Bile that one Lurker that comes forward, and then back off. Like, make it just hard for him to take a third base. Don't just, like, let it happen. And if he doesn't have a third... Or go ahead.
I'm sorry. I played a 2-base Lurker, Hyper Turtle Zerg.
Yeah.
I hadn't played that style before, and he distracted me with a non-stop Nidus Swarm Host.
Okay.
And I got, he continued to Nidus me, but I kept on killing his Nidus worm before it popped out.
Yeah.
He eventually got it out, and while he was getting it out, he took his third and then defended with Lurker. And by the time I had Broodlords attacking his base, he pulled them in with Viper.
So a great way to deal with that would be get a Spire, maybe make like 10 mutas, and kill his Overlords that are making the Niduses. And then make sure you stop his third as well. Like, if you stop the Nidus straight up, and you spread your Overlords out too, so you're not blind around your base. Maybe spread your creep too, so you're not blind. And then you can see Overlords, kill the Overlords. At that point, the only thing you can really do is like a Changeling. If you notice a Changeling, kill it. And if he, let's say he does go Swarm Host Nidus and you have Muta, you literally could just fucking, and then you miss it, and it's like, oh god, a Nidus just popped up, and only my Mutas are there. Target the Nidus, and if his Swarm Hosts start popping out, keep targeting the Nidus. If you kill the Nidus while the Swarm Hosts are there, you trap them, and then just kill all the fucking Swarm Hosts with your Muta. And then, easy peasy. Like, Muta would make it, you don't gotta make mass Muta, but just make like 10, and you're fine. And you would be fine. Because the whole point is, if your opponent's on 2 base, and you take like 4 base economy while containing him, he's so fucked. Like, you'd be like, cool, yeah, take your Lurkers over there. I don't care. Have 10 of them. Have 15 Lurker. Make 25 Lurker for all I care. In your little 2-base setup. And I'll just fucking have 80, 90 drones mining over here while you run out of resources. And I take now my 5th base, which I transfer my main drones to. Blah, blah, blah. And then you break Broodlords, and it's like, what is he going to do? He'd make like fucking 4 Viper, and that's all he can afford. You could literally just sack Broodlords repeatedly and still beat that. If he's on 2 base economy, that is.
Yeah, he got up to three base, and that was my fatal flaw.
Yeah, you just obviously if he gets a third, you can still do it, but because you can still outmine him, just always have the mindset of if he's turtling, I need to be mining more than him. Don't ever be like, oh, he's turtling, I need to break that and stop mining altogether. Like, it's always about economy when you fight a turtle. If you have more than they do, you can take bad trades and still win the game.
Okay. I think this is perfect. I know we've been probably going on for the end of the coaching session.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, thank you. No, I really appreciate it. This will give me a lot to practice on. So thank you. This is exactly what I needed.
Yeah, man. No worries. As always, I'll post it. I'll give you the replay, and I'll post. So again, remember this replay is this is when it branches, like we were talking about. So use this as like a starting point, and you can do whatever you want with it after this. And you can rewatch the VOD to hear my points as to like what would be making sense. But yeah, I'll send you the replay, and then I'll have the VOD posted by probably like tomorrow or something. And then yeah, thanks for doing a coaching lesson, dude. I hope it helps. No, it definitely. It already has helped. I appreciate it. Yep. And I've got like 134k points. When I get better at this, I'll totally ask to rematch you the next time you're on StarCraft 2. I know that's yeah, it's all good, dude. I look forward to it. But have a good rest of your day, Omnom. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, bud. All right. Take it easy, man. Later. Later, dude. All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with Mr. Omnom Nom Nom Nom. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys all in the next one, whenever that is. Maybe Stormgate stuff, Stormgate coaching coming out soon, guys. You know what we're saying? Whenever that game pops. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck in your own games. Thank you for watching, and peace.